Forsberg pulls up for three. Boom! Knocks it down.
Curry from the corner at three. Puts it in.
For overtime. Makes it. Garrett. Right.
Welcome to the MVP cast from me, Mark Woods. Thanks for stopping by. This edition, our guest is someone who's having a real second coming in the BBL this term and back with a vengeance, as you might have seen at last weekend's All-Stars Championships in London in his second spell at Sheffield Sharks, where he's been one of the standout performers of the season so far. Nick Lewis, welcome to the MVP cast.
Yes, Mark. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be part.
It's good to see you back, but let's park this season for a bit and let's go back a bit. And you obviously you were a GB under-20 international, but your cradle of the game was Toronto, alongside a lot of the guys who've come through Canada in the last decade. What was your first experiences there? Because I know your older brother at some point played basketball as well.
Yeah, my older brother, he played basketball, but he stopped playing after high school. So I guess you could say he didn't. It wasn't really the focus wasn't the same, and the journey wasn't the same in terms of my brother playing basketball and myself. But Toronto's been my home basis. Born and raised in Scarborough, Ontario. Scarborough is inside of Toronto, for those who don't know. I've played in for a couple of teams. I played for the Canadian national team, the under-16 national team, where we actually won bronze at the FIBA Americas in Argentina. And I actually played for Team Ontario under-15 and Team Ontario under-17. So that's kind of like, I think it's like England under-16s. You guys have that out here too. So I guess you kind of compare it to that, playing for the England national team.
I mean, you're under-16. You had stacked players. Guys like Anthony Bennett, who's I know still your friend, Nick Stauskas, guys who played in the NBA. Where did all that come from? Because we kind of look at over here at this generation, this golden generation of Canadian players, but you were on the ground as part of that. Why did that all sort of suddenly come together?
I think it's just Toronto and the GTA itself, the greater Toronto area. So that's like the towns and cities that are surrounding Toronto. I think it's just the fact that basketball is just a great popular sport in Toronto. So there's no confusion as to why Toronto usually has the best players, because we're kind of like a inner city, and it's just like I said, it's a popular sport. So us coming together, playing on the same team, there's no coincidence there. I mean, it's almost like it's like fate kind of thing, because it's like we grew up playing against each other, right? So it's like we have our OBA teams, which is our like community teams, I guess you could say. And at some point in time, as the seasons go by and players start getting older, more opportunities start coming. So that's like Team Ontario, Team Canada. So for Team Ontario to come together, that had to be all the players that are playing within the community. And it's more of a concentrated team, so only 12 players would make that team. And then from the provincial team, it would go straight to the Canadian national team. So now we're talking about 12 players making one team and coming from the whole country. So I mean, that's how it came about, really. Everyone's really just been battling since we were young kids.
Was there a certain pride, I guess, in a way that, as so many of that group, and we also can talk about Andrew Wiggins as well, who you played with. I mean, was there that certain thing of, we want to not just make it to the States, but we want to show that we can be as good as anyone in the States?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think it was really a thing where, like, we know we could go to the States and play. It was a matter of obviously proving a point and showing people that we're just as good, if not better. But the thing really about Toronto and being in Canada and obviously United States next door, it's more of just the NCAA. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, the NCAA is obviously only in the States, and that's where every young player wants to get to. They want to get a chance to be able to go to the NCAA and then obviously get to the NBA from there. But when it comes down to it, if you try to put the pin on the head. Really, it's just the fact that NCAA coaches and NCAA teams are obviously gonna pick the American players first. So that's why a majority of us actually head down to the States to play in high school. So I actually played 2 years, my junior and senior year at Our Savior New American, which is a high school, prep school in New York. And obviously most of my AU team, basically every player on my AU team, which is my travel team from Toronto, we all head down to the States to play high school basketball just for the sake of us being able to get that same kind of opportunity that those American high school players get, just to be able to play in the same showcases, play in front of the coaches and the scouts and whatnot.
When you guys are talking, Ron, particularly in the AAU team, so you've got guys that are top lottery draft picks in the making that went on to do big things. When you were sitting around talking, then you're the age of what, 16, 17, whatever, was there that sort of thing that we all love to make the NBA together? I mean, what was the kind of dreams that people spoke around?
Um, I don't even think back then, like, obviously everyone's dream is to become an NBA player, to get to the NBA. But at that point, that AAU level, we're just trying to get scholarships, man. We're just trying to be able to get some letters sent to our house, sent to our school. Just really just be able to get that opportunity to receive a full scholarship, because, just like I said, being in Toronto, or just being from Canada, really, they don't even give out full scholarships like that. You know what I mean? And obviously, in terms of media, competition, everything's it's just not the same. You can't really compare it to the NCAA.
When you're sitting a few years later and you're over here and you're seeing guys that on that stage at the draft or whatever, or playing in the NBA, I mean, is there any that sort of such of surrealness when you sat there watching? Anthony Bennett comes on the stage, number one draft pick by the Cavs, one of your oldest friends in basketball, and here he is doing his own slightly small piece of history.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's my bro, that's my guy. I mean, we played on a lot of the same teams together. Um, for sure, like, being able to see him is just like, it's just eye opening, and it's just like when you're close to a person who's been able to break down the doors and just really open like new barriers, like knock down the door of some barriers. You know what I mean? Like Canadians getting drafted number one, and you have Andrew Wiggins getting drafted number one back to back. I mean, it's great for the country, man. You can only feel happy and proud for these guys, because at the end of the day, like, some people would be like, "Oh man, I wish that was me." It's like you can't even feel like that. It wouldn't even be natural to feel like that. You know what I mean? You just got to be happy for yourself, for the country, for the game, the sport, your whole city. You know what I mean? So it was a great feeling being able to see my bro, Anthony Bennett, be able to do that, and same with Andrew Wiggins.
How tough was it though with Anthony? Because you guys are close, and obviously your basketball journeys have been very different. But you look at him and the pressure that he was on, the spotlight that he was on, the fact that it didn't work out the way that anyone would have expected for him. For so many different reasons. Was it tough in a sense to watch him and kind of be his friend, seeing him go through what must have been very challenging as well, to be in that spotlight and to have that kind of pressure, and also to have everything that's kind of written, the criticism, etc., etc.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, if any of us could put ourselves in Anthony Bennett's shoe, I'm sure we'd feel the same challenges. But at the end of the day, only Anthony Bennett would be the one to feel those challenges and go through those challenges. But as people on the outside, looking in, um, I could only say that, like, I understand how hard it could have been, and I know, like, being a friend of Anthony's, I believe that, for sure, there's a lot of factors that play into his journey. You know what I mean? Like, injuries was a big one for him. Same time, it's just like, it's just how life goes. You know what I mean? He had to go through some things to get to where he's at today. And he's been playing good as of late, man. He had a great season last year. playing in the G League. He was overseas for a little bit, playing in the Euro League. So I know his journey's probably wasn't projected the way he wanted it to be. But at the end of the day, we all have to go through things as people first, and I think that's what sometimes a lot of people forget in the sports world. They forget that athletes are humans first, and that we're all gonna go through some ups and downs in life, no matter what stage we're at, no matter how famous, how great of an athlete we are. We're gonna go through some things in life.
What's I mean for you that obviously your career has very much gone in different directions. It's been kind of zigzagging back since you sort
Yeah.
of broke through. What's hard for you has this career? I guess in terms just of on the basketball front, just for a second, but how has this worked out in comparison to maybe with the 18, 19-year-old you wanted it to work out, or maybe set particular goals for yourself?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because like I could like 10 years ago, I could have never guessed where I was gonna be. You know what I mean? So it's just like I obviously wanted to play Division 1. Um, and then life obviously hit me at the end of high school. Long story short, I basically couldn't qualify to become an NCAA player. Basically that was due to my grades in high school in Canada. Like I said, I did 2 years in Canada, 2 years in the United States, so I was kind of lacking when I was back home in Toronto. So that kind of caught up with me, and then from there I had to make a few decisions. So I either had to take the JUCO route, and then I was presented an opportunity to play professional basketball. So I mean, 18-year-old me definitely took the professional basketball route, and that's how I ended up at Sheffield Sharks. But yeah, man, I definitely couldn't have projected this route that I've taken.
Was that the right decision in retrospect? There was
That's
hindsight, hindsight
that's been the
100%.
golden question. That's been the golden question for sure over the last few years that people have asked me. I'm the type of person that I don't make any regrets, but I believe that I know it was the right direction because it was the right decision. Because I mean, I believe in God, and I know that God's been able to take me through this journey since day one. So I know that whatever decision that I've made has been the right decision. Because I can look back at it now and see all the positives, even though like the younger me was just like, man, I wanted to play Division 1. You know what I'm trying to say? I had to get over that and just get back to reality and see the blessings that are in front of me. But in terms of is that the right decision? Did I make the right decision? I definitely believe I took the right decision because the way I look at it is like I could have played D1. Who knows what would have happened? Just like who knows what would happen if I didn't become a professional athlete right away. But it's just like I could have been I couldn't have known what would happen. But at the same time, me being a professional athlete, even in the UK, it's just like there's a lot of Division 1 players that come out here at the same time. So I just have to I just been kind of using that, not using that, but that's just the reality of it all, man. You never know where you're really gonna end up, no matter if you're a Division 1 player, if you played for EuroLeague academy teams, like it doesn't matter. You don't really know where you're gonna end up until you get there.
You played GB under 20. You're Canadian. Explain how that worked.
Well, basically, I'm a dual citizen, so I was able to get my passport as soon as I got over here. So yeah, I got invited to the tryout. I actually got hurt. I actually got injured. I pulled my calf muscle um during training camp, so that kind of affected my performance a bit throughout the whole GB under 20 campaign. But yeah, man, it was a great experience. I got to play with a good bunch of guys. Coaches were great. I was with Coach Doug and Coach Veer, Coach James. I was with Andy Langford was a strength and conditioning coach, you know, and so it was just a great experience for me. I was blessed to be able to play on the GB team and represent GB for sure.
And where does the dual citizenship come from?
Um, my father's actually my father's actually born and raised in London.
Hmm.
My grandparents actually live in Leicestershire. They live in Melton Mowbray. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really close. I'm not close to my father at all by any means. But that's how my dual citizenship came about.
And had you, before you came over, had you spent time over here at all, or was it
No,
was it
no, no,
it was
not
a
at all.
foreign land?
Not at all. I've never even. It's funny until like basketball became part of the picture. It's like I said, I'm not close with my father at all. So it's like I never even imagined myself coming over to the UK for any reason. Never mind playing the sport that I love the most. Me and my grandparents aren't close either, so it's never really discussion of me coming over to visit or anything like that.
And did you ever? I mean, have you ever discussed the fact that you ended up representing his national team?
No, not even. It's a lot of things that are discussed and weren't discussed, but nah, it's just one of those things that just kind of happened. You know what I mean? Like I just look at it like it's just a blessing in disguise from God. My father not being in my life, so really me being able to have this passport is kind of like a golden ticket. That's the way I look at it.
It's not worth as much after Brexit, but we'll see what
Yeah,
happens in the
yeah,
next few
right.
days.
Yeah, right. It's true. It's true. But me even being able to come over to here to the UK, I mean, that's still good with me, man. Never mind being able to travel around Europe. I'm just happy to come out here to the UK.
Let's talk about the last few years, because I mean, obviously you had that stint at Sheffield and you won the trophy there. Then you go to London Lions, and then for most people, you just dropped off the map. And there was a couple. It
Yeah,
was most people kind of think it was 1 year, but it was really 2 years that you were out of the game. And
yeah,
let's put that in perspective. You start your own business or your own sort of camp. It's called Make It Work Global.
yeah.
What is that? Tell people what exactly does that do?
Well, make it work global is a lot of people have their head wrapped around the basketball aspect of it. I mean, and that's what I've wanted. I wanted to push basketball right from the very beginning since I launched it because obviously I'm a professional basketball player. But really, what Make It Work Global is we're an international platform for athletes and world leaders. And really, what that is the brand is 50%. We're 50% sports, and we're also 50% leadership. So in terms of leadership, I just wanted to be able to create a way for kids to be able to gain leadership skills and really just learn things in life that aren't taught in school because I know how hard it is for kids, even myself, going through it myself. It's really just my way of being able to open up the doors for kids to just open up their minds and just seeing what's out there in the world and how they're able to maneuver in the world and just figure things out by getting help from older people, experienced people such as like athletes, professionals from all sorts, not just athletes. So we're talking about like doctors, lawyers, teachers, professions like that. But yeah, what really, I just wanted to set up a direct, and not only direct, but long term platform for kids and athletes to be a part of to be able to just really get to the next level wherever they feel the next level is, whether that's in sports, whether that's some sort of education that they're trying to get into. But at the same time, I want it to be as international as possible because me being from Toronto, having dual citizenship in the UK, that's obviously a big gap in between. At first, I never really wanted to do too much in the United States just because I didn't really have any direct relations besides the fact that I went to school out there. But obviously along the journey, I met a few people, um, like a couple people in particular, like my coaches from prep school, Coach Kelly, Coach George, and then we're talking about like my teammates from last year at Solon Kestrels, my boy Herm Senor, and Travis Charles from Brooklyn, New York. So it was kind of just my way of just connecting the dots, but in an established format. So I decided to come up with my business. I just didn't want to just um show everyone that like I'm a basketball player. I want to show people that I'm more than just a basketball player. Like I'm an actual businessman. I'm actually trying to set up a platform for athletes to get to the next level. Because at the end of the day, you have to look at it like this. If we want to talk basketball, there's thousands of athletes in Canada, hundreds of thousands of athletes in the United States who are trying to get to the next level in basketball, and there's thousands that make it to the NCAA, and then we're talking about a very small percentage who make it into the NBA. But it's just like what happens after that? What happens after
after college, when they don't get into NBA, where do they want to go, or where do they have to go? They have to go overseas, right? So basically, my platform is I'm setting up my platform to be an outlet for athletes to be able to get overseas, whether that be in the UK or whether that be somewhere else, could be, who knows, Asia. You know what I mean? I just want to set up a direct way, a direct outlet for athletes to be able to make certain connections, whether that be with agents, scouts, or set up events such as showcases for athletes to showcase their talent in front of the right people so that they could even connect the dots themselves. Just trying to set it up in a way where like make it work doesn't is not like we're not trying to control athletes. You know what I mean? Like yeah, we have ambassadors. We're soon going to be able to endorse athletes, but at the same time, I want the athletes to be able to come over to make it work and go where they want to go, not where we feel like they should go.
How much? I mean, you've clearly sort of a passion for that subject, but also, I guess, to an extent, you see a business opportunities. What is missing, or what before you set this up, or when you looked at setting this up, where did you see the kind of deficiencies in what we might call the system that I guess maybe you saw other athletes who fell through the cracks, who didn't get the opportunities that they wanted, and maybe got stuck. I mean, what was there that you thought this needs to be changed or helped?
Well, that's a great question. I'm actually happy that you asked me that question because at the end of the day, how I look at it, it's just it comes down to fairness. You know what I mean? This it's like I've I've been a part of like a lot of teams, clubs, and it's just like at the end of the day, not all players get an equal chance to get to that next level. You know what I mean? So a word that's used a lot of the time is politics. I don't really like to use that word politics, but I notice how things are unfair. So I really just wanted to be able to set up a chance, not even set up a chance. I wanted to be able to set up a platform where players just get an equal opportunity, man. You know what I mean? So if that's me setting up a showcase, it's like you better bring your A game or not in front of these agents, in front of these teams. You know what I mean? It's up to you to bring your A game compared to there's players out there who have to rely on coaches. You know what I'm trying to say? They have to rely on certain adults, and I just feel like that's not wrong in a sense, but at the end of the day, um, I feel like the players should be in full control of their destiny of where they want to go. So through my personal experience, um, yeah, the way I wanted to set it up is where players just have a chance to do things for themselves and show their talent whether they got it or not.
Is it important, do you think, though, that players, I guess people like someone like yourself who's a current player, but the players sort of take that ownership rather than, as you said, it being coming from a coach? Is it coming from agents? Is it coming from some outside force where there is a degree of interest on behalf of the player, but there's also self-interest as well?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of self interest, especially when it comes to coaches. I mean, like there's a lot of there's a lot of greedy people in this world, man. You know what I mean? Even like we're talking about business right now, so it's just like the way I look at it. There's coaches out there who would rather make a buck off a few kids than help them in the long run and help them get to a better future and get to a better stage in life, no matter where they come from. I don't care if they're rich, if they're poor. At the end of the day, we all need to move forward and get to better places. But like I said, there's coaches out there who don't really care about that stuff. They would rather put themselves first. Um, I'm not a believer in that, and I believe that players should be able to make their own decisions and definitely benefit from their own decisions. So like, it's no surprise now the things that are happening, and I knew it's only going to be a matter of time, such as like NCAA players being paid. Like that's a big talk right now. Um, even with like different leagues coming about where players can get paid in high school or high school players getting contracts overseas like I did. So there's definitely a lot of self-interested coaches and club owners and people like that out there. So I'm definitely against that kind of side, and I want to build my platform to just be as equal and fair as possible.
You were about at 22, 23. You come off that season at London Lions and you start this, and you sort of went away from the game, and you were, I think, back in Toronto, if I remember. Was there a point when you, I guess, stepped away at that point that you thought, I'm done with playing, or I might not feel
Never,
like coming back? No.
never, never. And that's the thing. That's where people think that like, oh my, Nick Lewis stopped playing basketball. It's like, how can I stop playing basketball? You know what I mean? Like, I've been playing this sport since I was 7 years old. I love this game. It's allowed me to travel to like 10 different countries, and I've never been on vacation once in my life up until a few years ago. You know what I mean? So there's never been a point where I've stopped playing basketball. Matter of fact, the 2 years that I was not playing on a team, not committed to a team, I was in the gym almost every day. I was in the weight room more than anything. I was probably in the weight room almost every day. Um, I didn't lose a passion for it. I didn't lose a love for it a little bit. It was just all due to circumstance. A lot of people don't know. My grandfather was sick. My grandfather actually passed away while I was home. So like life just kind of hit me. When I was home, I actually signed to an agency after London Lions, and we kind of just fell out before the season started. So that really didn't help my basketball journey at all. But I decided to look at the positive side and just realize the opportunities that were in front of me. Um, and I was really just able to connect with the right people while I was home. I made a few connections overseas as well, and I was just able to set up the things that I wanted to set up.
What made you get to that point when you came back over here and you're playing the, Worthing, Solent, Kestrel, so the lower tier? But what made you at that point decide, you know what, I want to get back on the floor. I need to get back on the floor. How does, where's the timeline for you in terms of making that decision and deciding what you do next?
Well, really, after my first year sitting out, it wasn't planned. Like I never said, yo, I'm gonna sit this year out. And even when the second year came about, it wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna sit this year out. You know what I mean? It's funny, like a few other BBL teams. I'm not really gonna mention who. Like a few other BBL teams actually offered me. The first year I sat out. The second year I sat out, a few BBL teams also offered me, but I didn't really have an interest in coming back to the BBL. I wanted to play elsewhere. I wanted to play in a different country, maybe in a different league. But in terms of coming back, um, I wanted to come back to the BBL after my second year, but I kind of waited too long, and then I made the decision to come back to the UK. But I was only gonna come back to the UK at that time if my brand was gonna be involved, and that's what happened when I joined Worthing Thunder and Solent Kestrels. So like I said, I decided to put my business first. I wouldn't say first at that time. It was kind of like equal to my basketball career, but I just wanted my business to be right beside my career in terms of just being able to move forward. So obviously, a few things were set on the table for my brand as well, and it went good, whether that be at Worthing or Solent Kestrels. So yeah, I just wanted to come to the UK and be able to build my brand, um, and just be able to connect the dots and continue moving forward and building up the Make It Work Global.
So much do you see yourself now as a businessman who plays basketball, or a basketballer who has a business on the side?
I for sure see myself as a businessman a lot, man. It's like I'm here typing up emails every single day. I'm making phone calls to people outside of the country all the time. Just really trying to continue to grow the different areas of my platform. I got a team back home in Toronto. We're launching a few leadership programs in some schools in the GTA. We're launching a few programs in England as well. So everything, I definitely look at myself as a businessman that's playing professional basketball, because I'm not gonna be able to play basketball forever. And a lot of people decide to start their business careers after they're done playing basketball or done playing their sport. But I'm looking at it like what's wrong with being able to do both at the same time? You know what I mean? If anything, people are going to be able to notice what I'm doing more while I'm playing professional basketball. So I just wanted to be able to. Well, I just want to be able to use my basketball career as an outlet for my brand as well. But not like I don't want to be. I've never told myself that I want to be the face of my brand. I don't want to be Mr. Make It Work Global or anything like that. I just want to be able to set things up, like I said, for other people so that they may be able to gain something that would benefit them, because there's a lot of people out there who don't have any outlets whatsoever, and I know what that feels like. So if there's anything that my brand would be able to do to help someone, then by all means I'm all for it.
Given the I'm going to put you on the spot here a bit, but I mean, given the perspective that you've kind of gained now from working with other players, talking to other athletes, but you look at this country, and there's been talk about setting up a players association again, in terms of just, I guess, having a more collective approach to players and player welfare in this country. But where do you see that from the sort of other things that you've perceived from elsewhere and other experiences that you've seen or heard of? What do you think the changes are, maybe, that in this country we need to look towards players to kind of, I guess, just improve the lot as a whole from top to bottom?
Right. That's another good question. I think no matter what country you're in, but if we're gonna talk about England specifically, like a players' association would be great. You know what I mean? Like I'm assuming it would be consisted with a majority of BBL players, or BBL or England international players, GB international players, and things can be talked about. But at the end of the day, I believe that things need to be, and this goes for other countries as well. Things need to be started from the ground up. You know what I mean? Things need to be started with the youth, because like my slogan is, for Make It Work, the youth will always be our future. So no matter what age you are as a young player, a young kid, as time goes on, you're evidently going to become an adult. You're going to become that age where you're ready to become a professional athlete. But it's about the in between. It's about how do we get to that stage? You know what I mean? So if everything is in order from the bottom all the way to the top, then there should be no gaps. There should be no errors, and no one really being left out in terms of a smooth system for players to be able to grow, for players to be able to gain their skill. And again, that's that's kind of like what my platform does. Just more like on an international base. We want to be able to, like I said before, we want to be able to work with players long term, because it's easy for players to get lost in whatever system that they come from, or whatever system that they've been brought up playing in. You know what I mean? Everything could change in 1 year. Players could fall off the map within one season, one bad season, and obviously as young people we go through things, and you know, especially girls don't even like playing sports once they get to high school anymore. You know what I mean? So it's all about being able to just see everything through and make sure that the system's there from top to bottom, no matter what country you're in or what league you're in.
Sheffield this season, you're doing pretty well in terms of yourself and the team. And coming back, I mean, I know we're only a handful of games into the season, but you're averaging 20 points a game. People are seeing a new Nick Lewis here. Is that from all the time in the gym? Is it just the way that team's set up this year? What's changed that your impact is so far much more significant than we've ever seen from you before?
I've been asked that question a lot recently, even though we just started playing this season. But me personally, I don't feel like anything's changed. You know what I mean? Like I'm still that player that's trying to come out with a chip on his shoulder and just play ball, man. I'm just trying to play hard every single game. But no, it probably has to do with me being in the gym a lot. I've probably watched a lot more basketball within the last few years, whether that's going to games or just watching the NBA. But I'd say it's probably just my mentality, man. My mental is just at a different stage right now. I probably I'm taking things a lot more seriously, whether that be on the court or off the court. So I feel that's translated into my game. I'm coming into the game with a different focus than I had before. In terms of it being a better focus, I wouldn't say like it's a better focus. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just it's just a different focus. I'm just at a different stage in my life. I've been through some things over the last few years where it's caused me to be this person that's like I'm not taking no for an answer. You know what I mean? I'm not really trying to take a loss, and if I do take a loss, I'm not taking an easy loss. You know what I mean? So I'd say my journey over the last few years has definitely translated into my game. I'm just trying to take everything to the next level, whether that be on the court or off the court. So there's areas of my games that I know I needed to work on. So probably the main one, and I'm sure everyone could agree with, was probably be my decision making. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to make sure my game is as precise as possible, whether that be scoring, grabbing rebounds, making the right pass to get someone else in the system. Just trying to continue to work on those things because, like I said, the journey's long, so I'm just trying to continue to move forward with my game every practice and every game.
How much does it? Is there that point that you've reached, and that a lot of players have reached, that you have that sort of early stage in your career when it's kind of easy. You've got hops, you've got speed, you've got enthusiasm, all that kind of stuff that comes. But then there also comes that tipping point where that's not the main driver, and it's kind of to do with, I guess, your brain, but also that learning and being able to stand back from the game a little bit and go, hold on a minute, that's the clever thing to do rather than the easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's definitely true, man. I relied on my athleticism to get my points, whether that be driving to the bucket or sprinting up the court and shooting like a quick shot, you know what I mean? But yeah, for sure, time as time goes by, everything should be able to elevate if your mind is in the right place. But yeah, that's kind of how I've taken my game to the next level, really. And by just really just understanding where I'm at in life and understanding where my game's at, where my body is. I feel like if anything, I jump higher than I used to be able to jump. You know what I mean? And I'm only 26 years old now, so I'm just trying to really be able to keep my body in as best shape as possible. I've been stretching a lot more, doing a lot more exercises in terms of staying fit. So
it could just be the shoes, though.
Yeah, right. The shoes that I'm wearing now, I've been wearing for like the last 3 years. I refuse to change my Kobe's right now. There's like holes in my shoes right now, but I mean, I got some shoes in the box still that I still haven't. Some basketball shoes that I haven't taken out the box, but I might switch it up soon.
I will say, my Kobe's recently ran out, and there's no, you can't get these anymore, and it does.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
So Nike, if you're listening, I'd like another pair, please. Find them somewhere in the document storehouse and send them, please. Last couple of things. I mean, the team's obviously playing. You've had a good start in the BBL Cup, and it was solid last weekend at the All Stars. I mean, how do you view this team? I mean, you've played a few teams now. You got Newcastle this weekend, which is obviously a benchmark kind of game. But I mean, what's the vibe about how good or indifferent or bad or prospect wise? How do you see this team so far?
I like this team, man. This team's very different from the teams that I've played on. I mean, I don't think we have any like standout player. I don't think we have any from 1 to 12. I don't think we have any players that like stand out like that. Like we don't have like a LeBron James on our team. You know what I mean? But it's just like we all play hard, man. Even in practice, like we play hard. We really get after it, no matter what the lineups are during practice. No matter if it's the starters versus non-starters. No matter if the lineups are mixed up. Like guys are ready to compete. I feel like everyone comes from like a different kind of background, a different kind of world. So putting all the pieces together in terms of players, it's just like guys are ready to play, man. We just wanna win no matter what it is, and we want to play defense as well. So this is probably the best defensive team that I've been on, probably. We just want to get out there and play together and just make the right plays so that we're able to get the win.
How much do you think having had a glimpse of him last weekend, Bennett Cook, that sort of different physical presence that he brings for you and Mackie McKnight, that outside-inside sort of switch that is available there? I mean, is that, as a guard, is it interesting to have a guy like that available?
I'm laughing because I think Bennett is a monster. Like
Yeah.
I think he's the best big man in the league, and you could quote me on that, man. You know what I mean? Like in terms of footwork, athleticism, hands. He's a great passer. He can catch the ball. I just think he's a monster, man. He definitely opens up the game a lot. He's got great IQ. Like I said, he's got great footwork and can finish with either hand. Could shoot the mid range jumper. He even hit a long range two for us at the British All Star tournament. But yeah, man, he's definitely been able to open up the game for me and Mackie at the guard position a lot. Yeah, man, I just think he's a monster, and wherever he ends up next season, wherever that's gonna be, Sheffield or wherever he goes, the team's gonna be lucky to have him for sure.
Last thing, you guys have a lot of long road trips just based on where you are. Who's the guy that picks the DVDs or videos or streaming on the buses? What's the secret to surviving road trips in the BBL?
Oh man, I don't even. To be honest, you gotta have your music, man. You know what I mean? Because there's too many preferences on a team. You already got 12 guys on the team, plus coaches and managers and stuff on the team. You gotta be able to have your music playlist ready, whether that's to put you to sleep or to get you ready for the game. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to go with the music playlist. You gotta make sure all your music's right, no matter what type of music you like.
You're not going to cliche me and saying it's Drake.
Oh no, I don't even listen to Drake like that, to be
That's
honest.
sacrilege from a Toronto person. Yeah, shocking.
I know, but that's as real as it gets.
Well, Nick, it's been very good seeing you back and in good health in the BBL this season. We wish you continued success on and off the court with everything that's going on. And thanks for stopping by the MVP cast.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot.
That was Nick Lewis, and that's it from this edition of the MVP Cast. You can get all your past episodes via your preferred podcast provider or at mvp247.com. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or you can hit me up on the latter at Mark Britball. A new edition coming very soon. But for me, Mark Woods, it's goodbye for now.